One thought is, यार मुझे तो stress है, so I need something. And the other thought is, what's gonna happen? Why is it useful? Why should I attend? So, firstly, thank you very much for being on the first side, saying I think it's something that I should at least see what's going on. What I will do over the next 45 to 50 minutes is to talk about mental health, and actually not just me talk, but really it will be very valuable if you will interact, if you will talk about the kind of challenges, the kind of problems, the kind of environments that you face all around you. So, Penny, should I be English, Hindi, English? What
You
do you
can
prefer?
mix.
Mixed? Okay. So I will try to be mixed. English as well as Hindi, so that everybody can grasp and we can move along. Okay. मेरा पहला mental health को लेके objective होता है to tell people it is always late, but never too late to talk about your mental health. आप जब भी अपनी mental health की conversation शुरू करेंगे, आप हमेशा थोड़ा लेट हैं. बेटर होता आप पहले दिन, उसके पहले दिन या उसके पहले दिन शुरू करते. You would have gained more value. However, कभी भी too late नहीं होता. आप आज शुरू करेंगे तो भी वैल्यू मिलेगा, कल शुरू करेंगे तो आज से थोड़ा कम, पर तो भी वैल्यू मिलेगा. So, the time to start thinking about your mental health is really right now. With that, let me first start by introducing myself so that you know who you are listening to. My name is Kapil Gupta. I have been a serial entrepreneur. I have run different businesses. मैं अलग-अलग तरीके के businesses चला चुका हूँ. In my last work, I was running a digital marketing agency. And over the last few years, हमने कुछ देखा. Something all across us that changed. It wasn't just COVID. सिर्फ कोविड नहीं था. कोविड के ऊपर, कोविड से लाए हुए लाइफ ऑल्टरेशंस की वजह से हर किसी की जिंदगी में जो चेंजेस हुए, द इंक्रीज्ड अमाउंट ऑफ स्ट्रेस, द इंक्रीज्ड अमाउंट ऑफ बर्नआउट, अ कंप्लीट चेंज इन वोकैबुलरी. आई मीन फ्रॉम वेयर पीपल यूज्ड टू टॉक अबाउट यार कहीं घूमने चलते हैं, टू बर्नआउट है, कुछ सेपरेट कुछ चाहिए, स्ट्रेस है, टॉक्सिक एनवायरनमेंट है, the corporate culture, the various levels of stress that people go through. We thought something needs to be done. And when we looked at the entire framework of mental health, what we saw was there were nearly 100, and that number has actually grown up to 500 now. कुछ 100 कंपनीज थी जो इंडिया में मेंटल हेल्थ पे काम कर रही थी. उस हर कंपनी का एक सिंगुलर ऑब्जेक्टिव होता था. वो ऑब्जेक्टिव था, हाउ डू आई प्रोवाइड मोर काउंसलिंग्स, मोर थेरेपीज एंड पुश मोर पीपल टू एक्सेप्ट काउंसलिंग, थेरेपी, साइकियाट्री एज एन एक्सेप्टेबल मीन्स फॉर मेंटल हेल्थ. मैं ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को काउंसलिंग्स पे, ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को थेरेपीज पे और ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को साइकियाट्रिस्ट पे कैसे भेजूं. When we looked at it, we said यार अगर दुनिया से सब कुछ भी हटा दो, take all sorts of stigma related to mental health, make everything normalized and do everything, तो भी 2 से 5% लोग ही थेरेपी, काउंसलिंग या साइकियाट्री पे जाएंगे. However, mental health is a 100% problem. Please note, I am not saying mental health is a 99% problem. Mental health is a 100% problem. Everybody. I can stand here and talk about whatever, but I will have my own set of mental health issues. And you can sit there and think whatever, and you will have your own set of mental health issues. So mental health is a 100% problem. How can we have a 2%, 5% solution? What about the other 95%? So then a lot of companies came up and they said, but we deal with disorders. We deal with people who are more mentally unstable, who have higher level of mental health issues, or they have certain sorts of disorders. तो हमने कहा यार ये conversation तो बड़ा अच्छा है, but what about people like you and me? We don't really have a problem strong enough to go to a psychiatrist. We don't really have a problem strong enough to go to a counselor or a therapist. But here is the question that we need to ask. if I ask each of you, and you need to, think about it for yourself. If you have a better mental health, a better control over your emotional wellness, and a better control over your mental wellness, will you be 20% more effective, 50% more effective, 100% more effective, or more? So why don't I ask this question of a few? 20%, so 3 options: 20%, 50%, 100%, or more. So 4 options. How many of you will be 100% and more? 50%? 20%? Think about this. As you look at this realm for yourself, आप अपनी इंडिविजुअल मेंटल हेल्थ को सोचेंगे तो यू विल रियलाइज अगर मेरे पास में कुछ कैपेबिलिटी हो तो आई कैन डू मच बेटर. So with this, before I get into my presentation, I have a small deck of slides to go through. But before I get into that, I want to understand from some of you. अगर आप लोग कुछ share करेंगे in this environment, and to begin with, let's talk about the corporate environment. And related to that, your personal lives. What sort of challenges, what sort of stress, what sort of problems do you normally see in your lives? Can I have some people volunteer from here? This is why I said this conversation will work better if you are here versus if you are not here. So, कोई बताना चाहेगा किस तरीके का स्ट्रेस, किस तरीके का एनवायरनमेंट, किस तरीके के प्रॉब्लम्स, किस तरीके के चैलेंजेस आपको यहाँ पर खुद दिखते हैं और you hear it from other people. So you don't have to put yourself on the spot and say मुझे दिखता है, but maybe other people come up and share that मेरे को ये प्रॉब्लम दिखता है पर्सनल लाइफ में, प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में, कैसा भी. Anyone? Talking about the environment, talking about people's life, talking about stress in general, talking
what
about
kind of stress you see around?
Mental health issues in general. What do you see?
सबसे बड़ा स्ट्रेस होता है जब शाम को 6 बजे घर जाते हैं और बॉस बोलते हैं 2 घंटे और रुक के काम करके जाना.
सबसे बड़ा स्ट्रेस होता है when you have to overwork. बिल्कुल.
पॉइंट वाली बात है भाई.
Secondly, like we work on targets, we have a deadline. Suddenly some work is there which you are already doing. So it's very difficult to prioritize. The next work which is coming to you suddenly is more a priority, and you have to give that on time to 2-3 different people,
Different
and they are
stakeholders.
all at par.
Sure.
You just can't have options that I can give to sir or not to him like that. So you have to manage that. And secondly is that we are dealing with different, irrespective of different departments. The temperaments is different of different people. So as an individual, having our emotions, we also have to deal and understand other person's temperament and emotions, right?
Sure.
It can be anger, it can be happiness, it can be hurry or tension or stress.
Sure.
So that at times you have to balance it. That is what I think you were talking about.
Yeah.
You need to balance
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
react according to that.
Sure. Anybody else? और किसी का कोई specific input, things that you see, aspects that you fail to be able to kind of get out of?
Basically, sir, we are in the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
Our core is operations, serving clients.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, we are allotted targets. So the main, stress or people all over face in such a environment is client service, client satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because to one area or to one branch or to one region, there are a specified number of clients. Their satisfaction and their retention, plus adding on new business every month and every year. That's how it works. So that stress always is there.
Perfect.
Performance stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Basically, we have to balance sales and operations, which is itself a big gamut actually. That is what sir is saying.
Sure. Anybody else? Any other inputs? So usually when I ask this question, one of the responses that I always get is people talking about work-life balance or people talking about their home stress as well. It is very interesting that none of you here mentioned that, which essentially means in the middle of the day you are fully engrossed within this environment itself. And we'll talk a little bit about this, as we move on. So have you guys ever worked on your mental health? Done anything?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So what do you do?
Like yoga is one of it.
Yoga is one of it.
Meditation or spirituality connecting. It's not meditation. it's
Yoga,
a big thing.
meditation, spirituality. Perfect.
And then game. And whatever you know, what's a hobby? You should
Okay.
always indulge yourself in that.
Sorry?
Easy.
Hobbies, you should indulge in that.
Hobbies you should indulge in.
Meditation is one of your,
Okay. What about you? What specific hobby do you indulge in?
like roaming around or
Traveling or just watching,
Yes.
viewing. Okay. How about you?
कहीं शांत जगह में जाना
कहीं शांत जगह में जाना, traveling.
मंदिर या तो भजन सुन लेती हूँ मैं।
Okay. Spiritual, religious interventions. Okay. Anybody else?
Exercising,
Exercising,
biking.
biking,
Music.
I have,
music.
if I start my day with the gym, if I'm there for 1.5 hours, I have a better day that day.
Perfect.
That's what I do.
And it's good to go through some comedy, serials or laugh.
Dancing. Okay. So anything that takes you away from the area of everyday stress, whether it is your gym, whether it is your travel, whether it is your spirituality, whether it is your meditation, your yoga, or whatever else you do. Is that fair?
I would say not away. What I think is that you become in a situation to handle those stress in a better way.
Okay.
Be it dance or anything. It's not getting away from the whole thing. For timing away it is. But as a
थोड़ा
whole,
distraction हो जाता है
you
कि
are,
उसको समझने का time मिल जाता है
you
कि
can deal
problem को
in a better way.
That's-
The stress.
That's what I wanted to kind of
थोड़ा
get to.
हमारा mind
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it's not
अच्छे से समझ पाएंगे
it's not going away. It's
हाँ.
giving you a time to be able to for
Better
your
insight,
brain to
insight.
be able to absorb whatever else is there, so you can come out on top.
Come on.
Perfect. Next. Do you know someone who needs help? And when I say someone who needs help, I'm talking about people who may have more anxiety than they can handle, people who have anger management or anger or temperament related issues, people who have high amount of stress, people who over last some time have been showing signs of burnout, people who you think have become a little unpredictable because of whatever else is going on, people who are not able to cope up with their personal and professional and other aspects of their life and stuff like that. Is there anybody that doesn't know anybody that needs help? So we all, each one of us knows somebody that could do better if they get immediate mental wellness intervention. Does
पुराने
anybody know?
जमाने में ना एक होता था कोप भवन.
That's a form of that's genuinely a form of coping mechanism. So some people they need to shut down. मतलब they can't.
Is that medicine? Is that meditation or what exactly it is?
Depending on how you use it, it could be meditational. Depending on how you use it, it could simply be giving you time to get over whatever is going on or time to be able to absorb. Or depending on how you use it, it could simply be to let others know that, I don't have. So some people have a face that they would make when they are upset or when they are angry or something. Some people don't have a face. So if I don't have a face when I'm angry, what do? I go to the Coke Bhavan and now everybody knows. So depending on how you use it, depending on what's going on with you, that could mean variety of different things to different people. And this is one of the most, and we will talk more about this as we move forward. This is one of the most important aspects of mental health. Every individual's mental health works differently. What works for you will not work for the other person. This is one of the reasons why most people have challenges in their relationships. What works for one doesn't work for the other. मुझे तो I don't know, what's the latest movie? मुझे तो एनिमल देखना है, मेरे पार्टनर को तो नहीं देखना है. मेरे को तो उस वायलेंस में बड़ा मजा आया, उसको तो नहीं आया. मुझे ट्रैवल करना है, मुझे नहीं करना है. Exactly, and you can keep going on and on and on.
It's basically on how you process it rather than how
Exactly.
it is.
So हम सबकी जिंदगी में बहुत कुछ चेंज हो गया है, ओके? बट हम मानते हैं हमारे सबके अंदर, एवरीबडी, ईच वन ऑफ अस हियर, हम अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए कुछ करते हैं. कोई योगा करता है, कोई मेडिटेशन करता है, कोई कुछ और स्पेसिफिक एक्टिविटी करता है, कोई जिम जाता है और कोई डांस करता है, कोई रिलीजियस एक्टिविटी करता है, कोई भजन सुनता है, कोई मंदिर में जाके बैठ जाता है, कोई ट्रैवल कर लेता है, समथिंग और द अदर. So let me do one thing. Let me change that frame for you a little bit. Okay? So when I asked you, do you do something for your mental health? Everybody had some activity. Let me change that frame for you a little bit. And consider what I'm saying. Okay? Don't immediately jump to a yes or immediately jump to a no. Consider it. What about I say, irrespective of everything in your life, every day, note, every day, whether you are at home or you are in office or you are traveling or doing whatever, more than 16 hours a day, every day, more than 16 hours a day, you work on your mental health. What about I say that? In every action that you take in your life and in every decision that you make in your life, it is prima facie driven by your need to optimize your mental health. Now some of you must be thinking, hey, kaise ho sakta hai? I went and I came to my job today. It was totally against my mental health. Totally against. I could have done 10 different things, but that is simply you optimizing the long-term mental health for yourself versus the short-term mental health. So let me say this again, and this time think about it more. Every action that you take and every decision that you make is prima facie driven to optimize your mental health. आपकी जिंदगी का हर एक डिसीजन और आपकी जिंदगी का हर एक एक्शन आपकी मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए होता है. The problem, the challenge, and here is where life gets complicated. We don't know, we don't realize, and we don't look at life that way. Everything that you do, your decision to sleep, and your decision to eat, and your decision to travel, and your decision to talk to your mother, or your decision to ignore your neighbor, or your decision to do every aspect that you do is driven by your mental health. Is there anybody that would disagree? ये क्या बोल रहे हो यार, ये कैसे हो सकता है? Anybody that would disagree? Anybody that before now had looked at their life this way? So now, for the next 30 seconds, while I will take a sip of water, think about what all have you done in your life when you thought, how can this happen to me? Or how can I do this? Or why do I do this? And how was it influencing mental wellness, mental health for each of you? This is what I call the 16-hour theory. For many people, it is very transformational. Okay, so I decide on what I am doing based on my need to work on my mental health or my need to optimize it, which means all the good, bad, ugly that I do in my life is essentially for me. For many people, this changes how they do, how they process themselves. कल को जाके कुछ एक रिक्वायरमेंट आएगा, कुछ करना होगा, and they will think, ये मेरी मेंटल हेल्थ पे कैसे इफेक्ट डालता है, खराब करता है, सही करता है, शॉर्ट टर्म में क्या, मीडियम टर्म में क्या, लॉन्ग टर्म में क्या. And some of you, in things that you do around yourself, will change a lot of stuff because you will start thinking about the 16-hour theory. This, for us, is the fundamental place where mental wellness starts. When you start analyzing your actions and your decisions in the background, in the light of your mental health, आप अपने actions और अपने decisions को अपनी mental wellness, अपनी ability to be able to cope, अपनी ability to be able to be better पे जब relate करने लगते हैं, is when mental health starts to come in. अब the next logical question is, अच्छा मैं ये कर लूंगा तो सब ठीक हो जाएगा? Absolutely not. You will do this. This will just give you a better framework. बट ऐसा नहीं है आपकी लाइफ का स्ट्रेस चला जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है आपकी लाइफ की प्रॉब्लम चली जाएंगी, ऐसा नहीं है कल को आपकी किसी से लड़ाई नहीं होगी, ऐसा नहीं है कल को आप जो खाओगे आपको पसंद आएगा, ट्रैवल करोगे पसंद आएगा, ट्रैफिक नहीं मिलेगा, कुछ भी नहीं होगा ना. It will just mean that you as an individual have a control over your actions and your decisions and can at least start looking at life that way.
So the 16 hours, theory, what exactly says?
So,
Is it that onto, of course, based on my processing of data, my processing of actions, my initiatives, my planning, my thing leads to action.
So
Now-
16-hour theory essentially says, I get the question. 16-hour theory essentially says 16 hours a day, more than 16 hours a day every day. In every action that you take and in every decision that you take, you are doing it to optimize your mental health. In everything, you are doing it to optimize your mental health. So now,
So that is the prevailing situation.
yes, that is the prevailing situation, but you never thought of life that way. And you never lived life that way. I'm saying from today onwards, now that you have become present to, or you are at least willing to, start looking at life like that, everything alters. Some of the things that you used to do, you will stop doing because they don't necessarily fit within the framework of this aspect of your optimization of your mental health. Some of the things that you used to say no to, you might start doing. But now, the challenge is, why do people not look at life this way? So when we did our research, we said, the challenge is people lack these three. People lack, number one, the vocabulary of mental health. And that vocabulary of mental health really starts with this 16-hour theory. It is not where it ends. सिर्फ ये नहीं है vocabulary language of mental health. There is a lot more. But हमारे लिए वो start होती है with this 16-hour theory. Number two, the tools. Even if you have the 16-hour theory and you have the vocabulary, the question will be, how do you on an ongoing basis get mental health help? And we will talk about what does these tools mean. Number three, a framework around it. So, ना तो आपके पास में भाषा है मेंटल हेल्थ की, ना ही आपके पास में कोई टूल्स, कोई औजार है मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए, और ना ही आपके पास में एक ढांचा है जिसके अंदर आप काम कर सकें, जिससे आप कुछ सपोर्ट ले पाए. शिवर, with that, what we try to do is look at, but ऐसा क्यों है? Because mental health से related, there is a lot of taboo. How many people would like to talk about their mental health? Right? In normal environments, specifically in corporate environments. Right? If I say something, I will appear weak. If I say something, they will think I am not efficient. If I say something, they will think something is not right. How will it impact my appraisal? How will it impact my performance? How will it impact my peers looking at me? And blah, 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 blah. They think they will be judged. They think whatever information they share will be misused in some way. And many times, your core issues get trivialized. ये तो बड़ी चीज नहीं है, ये तो होता ऐसे ही है. It's just that you are not able to take it.
So it's then not they think. This is the way it is actually. The environment is such. It is not what I may think or you may think or she may think or he may think. It is like that.
It is.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Which is why we are saying, if you get the right vocabulary, the right tools and the right framework,
Then
you can start getting mental wellness help.
Could you give some examples of vocabulary when you say vocabulary?
So first part is, can you look at your life differently in the light of this 16-hour theory? So can you start analyzing your actions and your decisions in the light of your mental health? The second part would be, can you simplify your mental health into easy to use terms? Okay, I won't be able to go through the entire vocabulary, of course, in this particular.
can't it be like, see, prioritizing yourself, making yourself happy will lead to mental health.
Yeah, but sometimes you try to make yourself happy by not going to school and your mother is not happy.
No,
And
so
that is not necessarily
obviously-
long-term happiness for you.
See, making yourself happy doesn't mean you don't go to work. Making yourself happy is not to be a people pleaser and just prioritize yourself first.
Absolutely, you are absolutely. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily always the immediate short-term, dopamine or the short-term reaction to what you would do. Sometimes you will consider slightly mid-term, slightly longer term or other aspects of your wellness as well. So when we looked at or when we analyzed, so what is it? What is it that people should get? What is it that people require? We came up and we divided the support that people require in their mental health in these 4 parts. Number 1, self-help tools. It means tools that people can use by themselves. वो चीजें जो लोग अपने आप कर सकते हैं उसको कहते हैं सेल्फ हेल्प. आप डायरी लिख सकते हैं अपने आप म्यूजिक सुन सकते हैं अपने आप अपने गोल सेट कर सकते हैं अपने आप रोज सुबह लिख सकते हैं या शाम को या दोपहर को या दिन में 4 बारी हाउ यू आर फीलिंग. आप कंटेंट कंज्यूम कर सकते हैं कुछ लर्निंग के लिए. सेल्फ हेल्प थिंग्स दैट यू कैन डू योरसेल्फ. आप योगा कर सकते हैं, आप मेडिटेशन कर सकते हैं, आप एक्सरसाइज कर सकते हैं, बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं अपने. सेल्फ हेल्प टूल्स, थिंग्स दैट यू कैन डू बाय योरसेल्फ. सेकंड, कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट टूल्स. बाय द वे, while we talk about COVID and I said, we saw the life change, one of the major aspects of where we see mental health of people change is there are no community supports now. आप सोचिएगा, क्या आपकी लाइफ में अब कोई भी नॉन ट्रांजैक्शनल रिलेशनशिप होती है? इवन विद योर पेरेंट्स एंड योर स्पाउसेस एंड योर फ्रेंड्स एंड ऑल, most of our relationships are transactional in nature. तो क्या है, पहले जो community, when I was growing up, there used to be a community support aspect. There used to be 10 cousins that I would talk to on a regular basis who had nothing to do with my life. They were just, either they were walls that I could bounce things off of, or they were people who I could trust and they will always give me something sane. Now one of the things that we miss out on is community support. So how do you get other people in the community? Mental health के अंदर actually all suffering, सबसे अच्छा मेडिसिन क्या होता है? अगर आप कभी भी सफर कर रहे हो, कभी भी पेन में हो, सबसे अच्छा मेडिसिन क्या होता है? ये पता चलना कि ये पेन सिर्फ मुझे नहीं है, मेरे आसपास के 20 लोगों को और है. It's the, I mean, I'm not joking. This is, research backed.
मेंटालिटी होती है तो.
Exactly. This is literally research backed. To know that others have the same problem that I do, okay, is very therapeutic. It's amazingly satisfying. So community support. And how do you get that? And jokes aside, how does community help you get over a problem? For you to get to know what other people did when they were facing this problem. For you to get to know from experts what were they doing, or what could you think, and all that is community support. Third, expert services. This is the small portion of where I was saying most mental health companies work in. हम काउंसलिंग्स कैसे देंगे, हम थेरेपीज कैसे देंगे? So expert services meaning working with experts. And expert services can either be clinical. Clinical का मतलब है you go to a psychiatrist, you go to a psychologist, or you go to a counselor. Or they could be non-clinical. Non-clinical will include, your things like working with an expert in yoga and meditation, in other things, going for naturopathy or career counseling or, other kinds of activities, but non-clinical interventions. Number 4, pharma neuro intervention. Medicinal. The challenge with medicinal intervention is not necessarily as the medicine itself, but from a behavior perspective, neuro and pharma intervention usually becomes addictive. However, there are points of life when it's a must-have. It's almost like you should not take pain medicine. But what if you have too much pain? You should not, not take the medicine then. You have to for a little bit, just so you get better. But it shouldn't become that the next time the smallest thing happens, I need to take that medicine. For me to continue in my life, I need to take that medicine. That's usually the challenge. They become behavior addictive, even if they are not medicinally addictive.
don't you think this community support is not much about getting to know what others are facing, but to acknowledge that I have this problem,
It is.
getting this out, understanding it, and then finding a solution about it?
It is.
So that is the core value of community support. Hence, the support groups are there, right? Psychologist or clinical psychologist often sends you to a support group so that you acknowledge that, okay. In support groups, people say, okay, I'm an alcoholic or any other issue. Acknowledges it, tells your problem, and then start working on it. Until unless you acknowledge it and understand that you are suffering from something, and you just listen to others' problem, that will never solve it.
So you are right, but let me tell you why we talk about it in a slightly different mode. For you to go to that psychologist and be referred to the community support group, or to say differently, for you to do anything, even use the first self-help tool, whether you stand on the top of this tower and say I have a problem or not, but you internally somewhere have accepted that you have a challenge that you need help. So by the time you get to community support group, in community support, you will learn, or you should be able to acknowledge your problem. But not acknowledge your problem for yourself, that you have done. If you hadn't done that, you wouldn't be here. If you didn't know you are alcoholic, you will not come to an alcoholic support group. You accepted it back then. Now you are learning to say it out to people so others can intervene and help you as well. So your point is absolutely valid. It is about acknowledgement, but not necessarily about self-acknowledgement. That happens a little bit before that. That is when you decide that you need an intervention. And mental health intervention is not always necessarily like a addiction intervention. It is more.
That was just an example.
No, and it's very relatable. It's very comparable to that.
No, but one thing is here, we are talking about mental health, right? So it's that outside environment which is actually creating a stress for you and which is driving you into mental health problems. So you have got two choices of exerting. या तो रो लो, सारा क्या होता है, people will start feeling very happy. You will go and do a lot of shopping. पैसा वैसा खर्चा करो तो क्या होता है, you will feel so good that okay, सारा mental health.
My sister is shopping only.
So point here is that we are reacting to external inputs, right? So this is, for example, इन्होंने जो example दिया communities का, communities, I was just thinking about it. You have seen ants working there. They are not working in communities because of mental health. They are working here because they feel they have a goal, common goal.
Yeah.
So that's how I would like to perceive, because
fair enough, सही बोल रहे हैं. मगर चैलेंज ये होता है जब आप मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में सोचते हैं, स्पेसिफिकली व्हेन यू थिंक अबाउट योर मेंटल हेल्थ, तो आपको आउटसाइड इन और इनसाइड आउट दोनों तरीके से सोचना पड़ता है. आपको अपना इंटरनल एनवायरनमेंट और अपना एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट दोनों पे काम करना पड़ता है, और बहुत जरूरी होता है आप इसको कंसिडर कर पाए. तो जब हमने व्हेन वी लुक्ड एट दिस एंड वी सेड ये 4 तरीके के टूल है: सेल्फ हेल्प टूल्स, कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट टूल्स, एक्सपर्ट सर्विसेज, फार्मा न्यूरो इंटरवेंशन. हमने कहा क्या ऐसा पॉसिबल है टू बी एबल टू प्रोवाइड दिस एट स्केल? क्या ऐसा पॉसिबल है कि इसको टेक्नोलॉजी से सॉल्व किया जाए? कैन वी डू समथिंग जिससे लोगों को मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी मिल पाए? दैट्स व्हाट वी एट सोल वेलनेस आर अबाउट. हम लोग इस मेंटल हेल्थ की प्रॉब्लम को, वेयर वी से लोगों को सेल्फ हेल्प टूल चाहिए, लोगों को कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट चाहिए, लोगों को एक्सपर्ट इंटरवेंशन चाहिए, लोगों को फार्मा न्यूरो इंटरवेंशन चाहिए. हमने कहा हम ये सारी चीजें एट स्केल थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी डिलीवर कर सकते हैं. और सिर्फ ऐसा ही नहीं कि हम इसको थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी डिलीवर कर सकते हैं, हम इसके अंदर एआई, सो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, और हम इसमें प्रोफाइलिंग करके और एड ऑन कैपेबिलिटीज हर इंडिविजुअल को दे सकते हैं.
इट मींस कि अगर कोई है नहीं नियर आसपास जिससे हम बात कर सके या अपनी कुछ चीजें शेयर कर सके, तो हम ये जो भी है, मतलब आप बता रहे हो, तो उसके हेल्प से हम, मतलब हमें कोई भी टूल्स हम सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं.
यस, मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ. इफ यू विल डाउनलोड, आप लोगों के पास अपने अपने मोबाइल फोन्स होंगे.
Yes.
So let's just download the app so I can kind of tell you what I mean by that. The app is called Solh Wellness. SOLH. Wellness. If you can just download it, it's a simple OTP verification and registration. It's a very easy process. So while you download, Soul का मतलब होता है Soul Wellness. Soul का मतलब है making peace. It's an Arabic word. ये मैं बोलता हूँ अपने अमेरिकन फ्रेंड्स को, और फिर मैं मिडिल ईस्ट जाता हूँ तो मैं उनको बोलता हूँ द वर्ड इज सलाह. इट्स एन अराबिक वर्ड जिसका मतलब होता है मेकिंग पीस. और फिर मैं इंडिया आता हूँ तो मैं अपने दोस्तों को दिल्ली में बोलता हूँ भाई मेरी कंपनी का नाम है सुलह. ये एक हिंदी का वर्ड है जिसका मतलब होता है मेकिंग पीस. सो सोल वेलनेस इज अ हिंदी वर्ड which is sulah, or if you like Arabic more, it's salah.
Are you referring to Sulah exactly, or
That's the
just
name
for
of the
reference?
company. That's the name of the company. We call it soul because it's easier on the tongue for people globally.
It's relative. It's not Sulah actually.
We chose the word
in such a way.
in such a way that there is a representative. मतलब soul है ना, एक तो SOUL soul, like people think of it like soul, and दूसरा it has a English, a Hindi and an Arabic version to it, which makes it very interesting.
Because that doesn't coincide with my thought process. So
I
that's
get
why I thought, okay.
I get it. बस इसको ऐसा reconcile, इसको ऐसे कंसाइल करिए. Making peace with yourself.
Of course, yes. That is
Mental health, conceptually, mental health is about making peace with yourself. Mental health is not about changing your surroundings. वो तो possible नहीं है. It is about, तो हम कहते हैं मेंटल हेल्थ होता है अपने अपने कोपिंग मैकेनिज्म्स डिफाइन करना. ये नहीं चेंज कर सकते कि हमारे पास इनपुट क्या आएगा. हम ये चेंज कर सकते हैं हम उस इनपुट को हैंडल करके अपना आउटपुट कैसे चेंज करेंगे. And that's what mental wellness is about. So I hope some of you are able to download the application already. If you would look at the application, look at the top of the application. It says talk now. Overwhelmed with emotions right now, talk to a soul counselor. At the top, when you will open, it will have something like this. It will be in green color, not in blue color. But it will have something like this. Overwhelmed with emotions, right? Yes, exactly. Overwhelmed with emotions right now, talk to a soul counselor. Essentially, what it means is exactly like she was saying. आपको इस समय पर किसी मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट की जरूरत है. सबसे पहले अगर आप किसी भी चीज से ओवरवेल्म्ड हैं, आप जाइए, क्लिक करिए और आप सीधा एक काउंसलर से बात करते हैं. किसी कस्टमर सर्विस रिप्रेजेंटेटिव से बात नहीं करते हैं, आप सीधा एक प्रोफेशनल काउंसलर से बात करते हैं. अपने आप में द एबिलिटी टू गेट मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट स्टार्ट्स देयर. एंड देन प्लेटफॉर्म देखेंगे तो आपको ये 3 तरीके के टूल्स, सेल्फ हेल्प टूल्स, कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट एंड एक्सपर्ट सर्विसेज, ये सब मिल जाएगा. आपको एबिलिटी मिलेगा अपना मूड को रेगुलरली ट्रैक कर पाओ, और आपने अगर अपने मूड को रेगुलरली ट्रैक किया तो आपको उसकी हिस्ट्री देख के बहुत अच्छे इंसाइट्स मिलते हैं. एंड मैं एक एग्जांपल देके बताता हूं. अज्यूम करिए आप लोग एक लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप में हैं. आई एम श्योर वन और टू ऑफ यू माइट एक्चुअली बी इन. आप एक लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप में हैं और पिछले महीना आप 4 दिन के लिए अपने पार्टनर से मिलने गए थे और आपका पार्टनर आपसे मिलने आया था और आप अपना मूड मीटर देखा एंड दिस वाज अमेजिंग ना, बहुत टाइम से मिले नहीं थे एंड वी गॉट टू स्पेंड 4 days एंड देन यू लुक एट योर मूड मीटर दैट यू वर फिलिंग अप रिलीजियसली एंड यू आइडेंटिफाई वो 4 दिन आपके पिछले महीने के सबसे बुरे 4 दिन थे. तो खुद से सवाल पूछो, आर यू इन अ हेल्दी रिलेशनशिप? ऑल्टरनेटली, हम सबकी एक आंट होती है जो हमें पसंद नहीं होती, बुआ, मामी, चाची, ताई, व्हाटएवर. Everybody has that. Assume पिछले महीना 4 दिन के लिए that aunt was visiting, and you look at your mood meter for last month and you say, यार they were the most happy 4 days of my last month. मेरे पिछले महीने के सबसे अच्छे 4 दिन थे यार मेरे मूड मीटर के हिसाब से. तो do you really hate her or is she really that bad? So just examples, but mood meter gives you an insight of what gives you the high and what gives you the low. आपकी जिंदगी में क्या अच्छा काम करता है और क्या बिल्कुल काम नहीं करता। इसी तरीके से बहुत लोग होते हैं जो जब तक कोई गोल ना सेट कर पाए तब तक कुछ कर नहीं पाते। तो हम प्लेटफॉर्म में एक एबिलिटी देते हैं, आप अपने लिए गोल सेट करो और फिर उनको ऑनगोइंगली मेजर करके देखो आप कैसा परफॉर्म कर रहे हो। देन यू विल सी अ होल बंच ऑफ लर्निंग कंटेंट, इंफॉर्मेशन एंड एवरीथिंग ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म। देन यू कम टू कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट टूल्स। कम्युनिटी सपोर्ट टूल्स में एक तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है जर्नलिंग। नाउ मेनी ऑफ यू मस्ट बी थिंकिंग बट आई कांट टॉक अबाउट माय लाइफ ओपनली, दैट्स नॉट अलाउड, व्हिच इज फाइन, टोटली अंडरस्टैंडेबल। सो व्हाट वी हैव डन, हम लोगों को एक ऑप्शन देते हैं अनोनिमिटी। तो आप चाहें तो अपने नाम से अपने तरीके से पोस्ट कर सकते हैं, बात कर सकते हैं, इंटरैक्ट कर सकते हैं, और आप चाहें तो आप 100% अनोनिमसली पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं। आप अनोनिमसली पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे तो nobody would get to know who you are. In journaling, in support group, in other areas within the application, आप anonymously participate कर सकते हैं so that आपको जो mental health support चाहिए वो भी मिले and you are able to maintain your privacy or secrecy as well. Number 2, हम आपको ये ऑप्शन भी देते हैं कि आप जब जर्नलिंग करें तो आप एक माई डायरी की तरह कर पाए। मतलब जो आपने जर्नलिंग की आप उसको सिर्फ अपने लिए रखिए। Research says, and again, as I said earlier, mental health works uniquely for different people. आज there are 8 billion ways in which mental health works, only because human population अभी तक 10 billion नहीं हुई है। अगर हो जाएगी तो there will be 10 billion different ways in which mental health will work. So it works uniquely, individually for everyone. While saying that, for a lot of people, journaling itself is very therapeutic. Not about talking to people and listening and all that. अपने आप में लाइफ में बहुत क्लैरिटी देता है। नेक्स्ट, सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स। ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म वी हैव क्रिएटेड वैरायटी ऑफ डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स। देयर इज फॉर एग्जांपल अ सपोर्ट ग्रुप फॉर डिप्रेशन, जिसमें इस समय पर अराउंड 3000 लोग हैं। देयर इज अ सपोर्ट ग्रुप फॉर एंजाइटी, जिसमें अराउंड 1000 के आसपास लोग होंगे। नो, आई एम सो सॉरी, द स्ट्रेस सपोर्ट ग्रुप हैज 3000 पीपल, डिप्रेशन इज स्टिल अराउंड 1000 or 900, something like that. Anyway, so there are different kinds of support groups जहां पर जाके आप अपने specific problem areas का discussion भी कर सकते हैं या फिर what other people are saying भी read कर सकते हैं. And then of course ability to connect with some of those people in a safe environment within the platform. Last, definitely not the least, expert services. यहाँ पर आपको clinical services भी मिलती हैं. So of all the other organizations that are working in mental health, we probably have the largest set of clinical intervention. We work with nearly 450 experts. Out of them, 250 or so are clinical experts. So clinical expert मतलब psychiatrists, psychologists and counselors. And allied therapy experts मतलब naturopathy, ayurveda, career counseling, spiritual, meditational, yoga, music, art and other performing arts and so on and so forth. And then there will be different other packages and other activities that you could do. So I've talked a lot about myself. Now let me ask you about your lives. So we will play. I'm sure everybody here has played this game, Never Have I Ever. So Never Have I Ever matlab I will read this sentence and you think, have you ever in your life faced this? Missed a family event because of work commitments. कोई भी ऐसा है जिसने मिस नहीं किया? Never have I ever.
सॉरी, इसमें कोई कमी है, बस बोलने दे कोई।
But why should this happen? I mean, अगर plan fixed है, so why it should happen?
Emergency के अंदर कोई काम आ गया सर, आज घर के अंदर शाम को पार्टी।
So emergency means emergency. किसी का खून निकल गया, कोई मर रहा है, that is emergency.
वैसा emergency नहीं।
वैसे बर्थडे में सर
नहीं सर, नहीं, वर्क के अंदर emergency आ गया।
But in the again, there's no do and die situation there, right?
But he said, and I'm sure everybody would agree. मैं खुद बोलता हूँ, मैं तो कंपनी चलाता हूँ, फिर भी बोलता हूँ, होता है कभी कभी कस्टमर का, आप तो कस्टमर ओरिएंटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, कस्टमर का रिक्वायरमेट आ गया, मेरे यहाँ पर ये आग लगाया, क्या करें?
अगर 1 करोड़ की फाइन लग रही है ना तो डेफिनेटली लगता है कि भैया कल से डू और डाई सिचुएशन।
बट सर आप एक बार दोबारा से ये सोचिएगा, आप मुझे कह रहे हैं जब तक 1 करोड़ का नुकसान ना हो रहा हो, आप किसी भी एम्प्लॉय को 6:02 पे काम करने को नहीं बोलेंगे?
Isn't it
100 रुपए के लिए भी बोलेंगे
See,
सर।
There's something called plan. If we plan it, we can execute it.
Sir,
If we cannot plan it, we cannot
सर
execute
आई
it.
गेट दैट, बट प्लानिंग के नीचे मैं तो एटलीस्ट जब भी प्लान बनाता हूँ उसके नीचे एक लाइन आइटम लिखता हूँ जिसको बोलता हूँ कंटिजेंसी,
Contingency.
एक्सेप्शंस।
Can everyday.
सर आप देखिए ऐसा होता है ना, लेट मी गिव अ स्टोरी, इंटरेस्टिंग सा स्टोरी देता हूँ। मैं एक बारी दिल्ली से मुंबई फ्लाई कर रहा था एंड मेरा एक स्कूल का दोस्त जिससे मैं 15 साल से नहीं मिला था वो मुझे एयरपोर्ट पे मिल गया और हम दोनों ने अपनी सीट ऑफ कोर्स साथ में करा ली, हम फ्लाइट पे इकट्ठे बैठे थे और वो मुझे बोल रहा था कपिल भाई तुम क्या समझोगे, तुम तो धंधा चलाते हो यार अपना, यू रन योर ओन कंपनी, हमारा पेन कैसे समझोगे, कभी बीवी के लिए एक छुट्टी चाहिए, कभी सास के लिए एक छुट्टी चाहिए, कभी अपने लिए चाहिए, कभी बच्चे के लिए चाहिए, ऐसा करके साल के अंदर 6 इमरजेंसीज होती है जो बॉस को समझ में नहीं आती। मैं तब छोटी कंपनी था वहां पे, तो मैंने कहा भाई मैं बिल्कुल तेरी बात समझ गया और मैं कैसे समझूंगा, मेरे पास में तेरे जैसे 30 लोग हैं तो मेरे पास में ना साल में 180 ऐसी इमरजेंसीज आती हैं। सो इमरजेंसीज तो सर आर अ पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ फॉर एवरीवन, इट्स नॉट अबाउट वेदर यू कैन प्लान इट बेटर, you can't, there will be things that will happen because of which you will have to miss out on your work commitments or miss out on your home commitments, कुछ तो होगा। brought work home, कितने लोग हैं जो काम घर लेके जाते हैं? अब मेरे पास एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है इसके लिए। एक चीज है कितने लोग हैं जो काम को घर लेके जाते हैं, जो कि बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जो अपने काम को घर लेके जाते हैं।
कोरोना के बाद सर ज्यादातर काम घर से ही हो रहे हैं।
मैं थोड़ा रिवर्स भी पूछता हूं, कितने लोग हैं जो अपना घर काम पे लेके आते हैं? इन द एरा ऑफ व्हाट्सएप, इन द एरा ऑफ ऑनलाइन बिल पेमेंट्स, इन द एरा ऑफ ऑनलाइन कनेक्शंस, आप मुझे बताओ। एंड ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सा सवाल है, हम लोग सब सोचते हैं हमारी मेंटल हेल्थ खराब होती है क्योंकि हमें अपना काम अपने घर लेके जाना पड़ता है। मैं दूसरा एस्पेक्ट पूछता हूं, हम में से कितने लोग अपना घर अपने काम पे लेके आते हैं? एक्चुअली ऐसा भी पूछता हूं, हम में से कितने लोगों की लाइफ का स्ट्रेस ये है कि हमारा घर हमारे काम में आता है? सो इट वर्क्स बोथ वेज, इट्स नॉट सॉरी
वाइस वर्सा है।
एग्जैक्टली बट हम बहुत बारी सोचते नहीं है, बट हमारा काम में परेशानी है कि हमारा घर हमारे काम में आ गया, हमारे घर में परेशानी है हमारा काम हमारे घर में चला गया। I understand, I'm not taking that away. बट हमारे काम में भी बहुत परेशानी है कि हमारा घर हमारे काम में आ गया। हर 15 मिनट के अंदर एक कजन जिसके पास कोई काम नहीं है जो दुकान पे बैठा हुआ है उसका मैसेज आता है। हर 1 घंटा के अंदर somebody who is somewhere else doing something else in their life does something. Anyway, sacrifice sleep to meet a deadline at work. What? Felt overwhelmed by the amount of work waiting for me after a weekend or a holiday. They say
तीसरी नंबर लाइन होती नहीं, सोने के बाद पता नहीं लगता।
neglected hobbies or personal interest due to work demands and being unable to focus on work because of something going on at home. All of us face these.
Yes.
This is why I said work-life balance. One aspect of work-life balance is काम जो हमारा घर पे जाता है, एंड सेकेंड एस्पेक्ट ऑफ वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इज घर हमारा जो हमारे काम में आता है। वी ऑल इंडिविजुअली एज वी लुक एट अवर मेंटल हेल्थ, वी नीड टू लुक एट हाउ डू वी बैलेंस। लेट मी अश्योर यू द बैलेंस विल नीड टू हैपन ऑन बोथ साइड्स, एंड this is where the 16-hour theory becomes very important for many of us. And I usually talk to people that work for me on this. I have this concept of financially independent or career oriented. Financially independent or career oriented. I always ask people that work for me, first decide which side are you. Are you somebody that is looking to earn enough money such that you are financially independent? मेरे को ना वीकेंड पे फोन मत कर देना, because I'm going on a travel. I only work so that I can go on this travel. Okay, is what I call as financially independent. I need to earn enough money. It's not that I don't want to work. It's not that I don't want to slog. It's not that I don't want to, or I'm a bad employee or whatever. But I want to work because I want to be financially independent. And on the other side, there are people who are career oriented. I mean, I personally have had people that have worked for me. I remember there was this girl that used to be my executive assistant at one point of time. One Monday morning, I told her, yesterday I went for this meeting. And she fought with me for 30 minutes. Why was I not in the meeting? And she should have been there. But I thought it's a Sunday. Why will I destroy your Sunday? And she said, I don't give a shit about my Sunday. Pardon my French. It was a meeting that I should have been there. It was my place to make something happen, my place to learn something, or my place to participate in something. I should have been there. People in their life, as a part of their mental health, should decide. And you may not be 0 or 1. You may not be 100% only financially independent or 100% only career oriented. But you may want to define your life. Now look at that 16-hour theory. What extent do I go to in terms of work? What extent do I go to in terms of other activities that I do? बहुत सारे लोग इस मिसबैलेंस के अंदर अपनी लाइफ स्क्रू अप करते हैं. बहुत सारे लोगों का वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इसलिए ठीक नहीं चलता क्योंकि वो इसको डिसाइड ही नहीं कर पाते. आसपास के लोगों को देखते हैं, ये तो रोज रात को लेट तक रुकता है तो मुझे भी रुकना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज something is not right.
Otherwise, boss is looking.
Otherwise, boss is looking. But maybe that's fine. Maybe that's how you want to live your life. Usually, and these are normally the problems that we see employees talk about. Long hours, and I think you guys talked about these earlier. Long hours, irregular schedules, being constantly on call, burnout and fatigue, safety concerns, managing work expectations, decision-making burden, and this all converts into work-life disbalance. So, questions? Anyone wants to ask anything? Any specific aspect of challenges that you
लंच के बाद
face?
1 घंटे घूमना.
Sorry?
लंच के बाद 1 घंटे घूमना.
मेरी कंपनी में लंच होता है 1 घंटे का. You can have lunch in 10 minutes and roam around for 50, or you can have lunch in half an hour and roam around for 30, or you can just chit chat and then just be there. Again, but then my office is not 8 hours or 8.5 hours. My office is 9 hours. तो हमने वो 1 घंटा.
तो सैटरडे संडे वाला जो है वो
In my setup, and it's an interesting question. I shouldn't actually answer this question as
they're subject to policies of the company.
मैं वही बोलने लगा हूँ. I shouldn't answer this question as Solh Wellness because as a mental wellness environment, I don't have a take on this. As an entrepreneur, okay, I tell all my employees, OM Logic, my digital agency that I used to run, I always used to tell my employees, OM Logic is a 6-day working company. You do great work for 5 days, and you will probably get Saturday as a reward for doing good work. If you have to come on Saturday, which used to happen once every 2 months, once every 3 months, don't complain. Don't tell me you have a plan. I am not interested. Because for the remaining 26 weeks, you got Saturday off as a reward for good performance, not because it was obligatory or mandatory or something like that.
Is Saturday a reward of? I'm just saying, Saturday of a reward for good work
No, it's
in
not.
your organization?
No, it's not. That's not. So
No, that's
it's,
what it's coming out.
I hear you. That's a way of putting things such that you don't get into challenges.
That's when you.
If you
no,
say-
I'm just saying. Sorry. I mean, the thing when you're talking about mental wellness, when you're promoting mental wellness, but in your ecosystem, for your employees, you are stating that Saturday off is a reward for your good,
But
good
there would be.
performance. But that's. I mean, you can't compensate.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't compensate. I mean,
I
I'm just
hear
saying
you,
when
I hear you.
when you are talking about this topic about mental wellness, I think this is not the right example. Maybe that's in the ecosystem you're running. But when you're talking about a workshop, you're running a workshop on mental wellness, this is not a right example to give.
That's exactly why I told him, as Solh Wellness, I don't have a comment on this.
Then you should
That's-
not actually, I mean, it's a wrong example to give.
Fair enough. But that's really an environment or an ecosystem or whatever policies you create that works for you.
एक्चुअली सर क्या होता है कि अगर आप किसी को 8 घंटे काम करा रहे हैं, आप ऐसे और आप 8 घंटे का, आपको सबको पता है कि 8 घंटे ड्यूटी करना है, 1 घंटे लंच होना है, बट अगर आप मॉर्निंग में आते अगर आपको बोलते तो उसको कि 9 घंटे आज ड्यूटी करना है, वो 8 घंटे का एफिशिएंसी लेवल खत्म हो जाता है।
फेयर है,
ठीक है।
Fair है।
अब वो क्या होगा, पूरा का टाइम जो मेंटलिटी उसके अंदर ये नहीं घूमेगा कि मैं काम करना है, वो ये सोचेगा 9 घंटे रुकना है।
फेयर है।
दिस इज द राइट क्वेश्चन कि भैया ये आप इसको मैनेज कैसे करना है कि अगर आपके जो बॉस है या कोई भी हो, जो भी आपके सीनियर पर्सन है, मेरा तो खैर अलग है, लेकिन सीनियर पर्सन जो भी है वो क्या करते हैं कि स्टार्टिंग में आते क्या सोचते हैं, मॉर्निंग में अगर एक पिंच कर देंगे तो लड़के 8 घंटे की जगह 10 घंटे काम करेंगे। दिस इज द एक्चुअल मेंटल को हैरेसमेंट जो होता है ना, ये होता है।
मैं 100%
क्यों भैया, दिमाग खराब होने वाला कहानी होता है। अगर वो ना बताए उसको रात को 2 घंटे और रोक दे तो काम हो जाएगा।
मैं 100% आपकी बात सुन रहा हूँ और समझ रहा हूँ, मगर ये सारा कुछ हर कंपनी
डिपेंडिंग है
अपने सिस्टम में क्रिएट करती है। कुछ एनवायरनमेंट ऐसे होते हैं जहां पर 5 दिन ही काम करना पड़ता है, और कुछ एनवायरनमेंट ऐसे होते हैं जहां 6ठे दिन के बिना काम ही नहीं चल सकता। कुछ एनवायरनमेंट ऐसे होते हैं जहां कभी लेट नहीं होता। देयर इज टीम्स दैट आई हैव जहां पर, जैसे मेरी सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन की टीम होती है, देयर इज नेवर एवर कि उनको कभी भी शाम को लेट उठना पड़ेगा। बट देन देयर आर पीपल दैट डू सोशल मीडिया।
सर वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस जब हम बात करते हैं ना, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस में आप मेरा एक फैमिली है, दिस इज अ सेकंड फैमिली जहाँ मैं काम करती हूँ, ऑफिस बिकम्स माय सेकंड फैमिली, आइडली सेकंड फैमिली नहीं, वो फर्स्ट फैमिली है, वैसे फैमिली फर्स्ट है। आप वो एनवायरनमेंट अपना कंड्यूसिव वो एनवायरनमेंट कैसे बनाएं कि दे फील होम इररिस्पेक्टिव, बिकॉज आजकल का जो है यू कांट डिनाई, जिस तरीके से हम लोग है वर्क प्रेशर रहेगा, और वो है बिकॉज अगर वी हैव टू ग्रो इन लाइफ तो वो हमें एडिशन करना है, लेकिन हम वो एनवायरनमेंट किस तरीके से क्रिएट कैसे करें कि हाँ एम्प्लॉय खुद बोले कि आप मुझे 2 घंटे बोलते हैं, मैं 3 घंटे करके काम खत्म करके जाऊंगा।
बिल्कुल
ये आप when you talk about work life balance, it's not about reward, it is creating that environment which makes it comfortable for the employee to work or to go to spend extra 4 hours and do this for the organization.
Absolutely.
It can be an employee engagement program, family को involve करे, family को साथ में लेकर चले, रिवॉर्ड्स करे, किसी तरीके से देखे, हाँ उसको एक मोटिवेशन हो कि हाँ मुझे ऑफिस सुबह आना है और मुझे जाना है, मुझे करना है, उसकी फैमिली भी अलाइन हो। So I think when we talk about mental health, it is mental health जो ये कहा जाता है ना कि हाँ खुद अपने आप सेल्फ हेल्प टूल, ये सेल्फ हेल्प टूल्स कभी नहीं हो सकते। मेंटल हेल्थ अगर किसी को प्रॉब्लम है, अगर कोई एक्नॉलेज करता है, उसमें फैमिली को इन्वॉल्व करना पड़ता है, उसमें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में अगर कोई बॉस है तो उसको इन्वॉल्व करना पड़ता है, उसको बताना पड़ता है, एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्रिएट करनी होती है। वो मेथडोलॉजीज जब हम अडॉप्ट करेंगे तब हमारी वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस होगी। तो आइडियली जो वर्कशॉप हम ये सब, मैं आपका सुन रही थी सेशन, मे बी आई कम फ्रॉम अ वेरी डिफरेंट परस्पेक्टिव, बट मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस अलग होगा। बट मैं आपको एक चीज़ बता रही हूँ कि ये दिस इज सच अ टची एंड वेरी गुड टॉपिक टू ड्राइव, बट अगर ऐसी वर्कशॉप्स हो या ऐसा एनवायरनमेंट हम क्रिएट करें तो हर कोई एम्प्लॉय हेल्थी होगा एंड दे विल कंट्रीब्यूट।
Absolutely. So let me on this line say that your organization at least took this initiative to start with this thinking, start with doing some kind of a workshop where you could talk about your mental health. And yeah, there is so much more that needs to happen from all across the environments.
I firmly believe, sir, कि जब हम mental health की बात करते हैं ना, जब हम ये वर्कशॉप ये सब करते हैं कि देन हमें वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी देनी चाहिए कि अगर जैसे मैं हूँ तो मेरा बॉस भी होना चाहिए।
That is what I'm saying.
वो इफेक्टिव तब आएगा अगर मेरा बॉस है, मेरी फैमिली भी होनी चाहिए।
ये क्योंकि ये जो मैम ने बताया ना, ये एक्चुअली रियल फैक्ट है। मैं अगर मेरे बॉस के सामने बोल दूंगा, मैं वो सेशन लेके आया था, मैंने ये बोल दिया उसमें, भाई ऐसा है कि तू थोड़ा काम कम दियो मेरे को, आज जाना है मेरे को घर, डेफिनेटली 6 बजे शाम को आएगा और बोलेगा भैया 2 घंटे और किसी काम करेंगे।
So online
भी वो सेशन और वो मेंटल स्ट्रेस
so double. You are absolutely right. In fact, हम तो ये मानते हैं, how we like to operate as a business, हम तो ये मानते हैं कि mental health is not a workshop.
When you operate as a business, it cannot be a success. If you work as a passion, it is your passion कि मुझे mental health हटाना है, मतलब as an organization, आप कह रहे हैं as a business अगर मैं चलाता हूँ, तो वो आपका ना objective वो रहेगा नहीं। You need to be passionate to remove or to reduce mental health या mental illness या that stress in everybody's life.
So an organization by itself sometimes would struggle with kind of putting that as their first objective. They will put that as their top 5 objectives. I was talking about myself. I was talking about soul wellness. So when we look at mental wellness, we believe mental wellness is not necessarily just a workshop. A workshop essentially is the place to initiate the conversation, to start the dialogue between the company and the employees, between the stakeholders that are part of the ecosystem, to be able to consider the challenges, the importance, and create what needs to be done. So, and in our one, at least, in things that we can implement or that we can provide, how we look at it is, like I said before, providing and empowering employees with a variety of different sets of tools where they can get self-help, tools where they can get community support, tools where there is a lot of expert intervention that is there, tools where there is not just workshop around mental health or work-life balance, but tools where there is variety of different programs that are run. A meditational program, because some people may get a lot of help through that. A conversational program, because some people may get help through that. A music or a art or a performing arts kind of a program, because some people may get help through that. Or different levels of learning programs, tool guides and other activities that would be provided to people. And that's really, as Soul Wellness, that's really what we are trying to do and what we are trying to provide to employees in various organizations so they can deal with and get mental wellness help. As I said before, there is no one size fits all. For every individual in every system, mental health works differently. So the need to provide a comprehensive capability for them to be able to get help, and then on an ongoing basis to be able to see and measure and intervene and then create the next level of roadmap is what needs to be done. So, any other questions, any other comments?
एक चीज मुझे बताइए, आपके प्रोग्राम में पूरा आपने हेल्थ, जैसे कि आपने इंडिविजुअली मुझे समझा दिया सब, मैं समझ गया सब कुछ, बट मेरी प्रॉब्लम है कहीं और, जैसे मेरे फैमिली के अंदर, तो क्या आपके प्रोग्राम में कोई ऐसा पर्सन है जो कि हमारे फैमिली पे भी बात करके समझाएगा कि भैया इसकी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, तुम लोग ऑपरेट करो?
Why not?
ऐसा होता है?
Why not?
उनको डाउनलोड करा दो ना।
डाउनलोड कर लिया, ओटीपी नहीं आ रहा।
आपके पास ओटीपी नहीं है, मुझे वेरीफाई नहीं कर रहे हो।
वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगर आप ज्वाइन करोगे वो वेरीफाई करनी है।
ये इधर बहुत सारे एप्पल वाले हैं, सेव वाले हैं ना,
ओटीपी तो आ गया।
खुल गया यार सारा ऐप खुला हुआ है।
वेरिफिकेशन नहीं हो रही।
आपका खुला है।
शिवानी, can you call up and check OTP verification क्यों नहीं हो रहा?
There is this drop down where you select SOL. So that I don't think anybody's done properly. उसके लिए गड़बड़ हो। वो तब तक नहीं करते हो, वो रेड एक पॉपअप आ जाता है।
Okay. शिवानी, एक बार check कर please.
नहीं अभी कर नहीं।
There must be some temporary glitch, some technical glitch. Otherwise, we currently have 120,000 people that use the platform on a regular basis. So must be a technical glitch right now.
So when we log in,
Sorry?
when we log in and we get to whatever we need, like a buddy or something, so what are the charges?
So this is an interesting question. What are the charges? For an individual user, okay, the environment is free. It's a free platform for an individual user. For a corporate, there are subscription packages that we provide. Of course, subscription packages provides a few more services. And individual user,
What we've downloaded right now,
that is free.
that is the free platform. Okay.
Sir, I have a question.
Sorry?
You talked about so many solutions, but as a person, how can I identify that which solution I have needed?
So, हम इसके लिए बोलते हैं, या तो इसके मल्टीपल तरीके होते हैं। एक तरीका तो होता है, आप अगर एप्लीकेशन पे जाएंगे तो देयर इज एन एरिया कॉल्ड एज स्क्रीनिंग एंड असेसमेंट। स्क्रीनिंग एंड असेसमेंट, वहां पर एक स्ट्रेस के लिए टेस्ट होगा, वहां पर एक इमोशनल एंजाइटी के लिए टेस्ट होगा, वहां पर एक अदर डिफरेंट सोशल एंजाइटी के लिए टेस्ट होगा, और अलग अलग टेस्ट होंगे। तो आप वो स्क्रीनिंग एंड असेसमेंट टेस्ट करके आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं कि आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम है। दूसरा तरीका होता है, देयर इज समथिंग जो इसको हम बोलते हैं 20 मिनट थेरेपी। मतलब 20 मिनट थेरेपी का मतलब होता है एक प्रॉब्लम डिस्कवरी सेशन। आप एक काउंसलर से 20 मिनट, इट्स अ 20 मिनट थेरेपी, सो 20 मिनट का सेशन होता है। आप 20 मिनट एक काउंसलर से बात कर सकते हैं जिसको आप बताएं एट अ ब्रॉड लेवल, हियर आर द चैलेंजेस, मुझे ये प्रॉब्लम होती है, मुझे ये तकलीफ है, ये मेरे सिम्टम्स है, ये मेरे को होता है, एंड दैट पर्सन विल बी एबल टू रेफर यू। आपको इस तरीके की एक्टिविटीज करनी चाहिए, या आपको इस तरीके के एक्सपर्ट से मिलना चाहिए, या आपको ये स्पेसिफिक चीज करनी चाहिए।
But the charges are there, na? But in the sense you press psychiatrist, you get 1500 for.
Well, that's so all the tools are free.
That your app provides a platform for us to, if we want to talk to a counselor.
Connect
or-
with the.
All the tools are free.
Okay.
All the tools are free. But if you are going to talk to with us with an expert, then of course there will be charges for the expert.
वही पूछ रहा हूँ.
Yeah. In case the corporate takes a subscription, depending on the kind of subscription that they take, some of these sessions becomes free as well. Again, that depends on